So this week I've got a question for you guys. When you go out to take your pictures, what story are you trying to tell? Now I know you see a lot of people that do like street photography, and it seems to be just social media. What could get me clicks? But the question I've got is, when you go out and do a photo shoot for somebody, are you telling their story? And what story are you trying to tell? If you look at traditional photography, and by that I mean you go into a mall or someplace like that, they take some portraits and you walk out with either prints then, or you have to come back and get them. Things like J.C. Penney and those kinds of places. It's always the same thing. You could say, well, it's the happy family story, but is it? It's just a group of people standing together and smiling. But what's the story behind it? When you're not doing that type of photography, where it's just portraits or those little mini sessions that people advertise, when you actually get to know your client, you can tell their story. For example, let's take a high school graduate for an example. What is it that they liked to do as a student? What did they like to do in their life as their life changes and perhaps they're going on to either get a job or go to college? What is it that defined, in their opinion, who they were while they were a student? What defined who they are right now? Could it be sports? Could it be they like to play chess? Could it be they like to cosplay? What is it that they see as a defining value of who they are? You don't get that by somebody walking into a studio and saying, "Hey, take my portrait." Right? You get that by talking to your client in advance of the session, getting to know them, getting to know what's important to them, getting to know how they see themselves, and then capturing that, giving them a snapshot that they can look back on years from now that shows how they thought of themselves back then. Now, they may look back at it years from now with pride, or they may look back at it years from now and go, what in the hell was I thinking? It doesn't matter. What matters is getting that image captured, or getting those images captured, because we are not just one thing. So why would we have just one photograph to show off that particular point in time? And that's where, when you look at things like high school yearbook photos, there's a portrait photograph that looks the same for everybody. Sit in the chair, wear something nice, smile. But it doesn't tell the story of who the person is. That has to be told through the group photos that aren't taken by a professional photographer, usually, are taken by a student photographer, or just another student who takes a snapshot. But again, it's not planned out. The story that you're trying to tell is not present in any of that stuff. It's just an image. What I'm advocating for here is to go beyond the image, to go and create something that captures the person in the image, who they are, how they see themselves, maybe what they want to be. at this point in their life, because everything is subject to change, but all we're worried about right now is this moment in time and what led up to it. What is it that this person values, and how can you capture their story in photographs? Now, maybe they go to prints, maybe it goes into a book. For me, I like the book aspect because it has so many more possibilities that you can put together in a book. However, that's not to say you can't do a collage print of some kind, even poster sized, of different images of that person to capture who they are. But if you do that, odds are, especially we're talking about a high school student, the odds are that you're going to have something that will last longer if it's in an album format. But again, if we stick with the high school senior analogy here, who are you shooting it for? I advocate for shooting it for the person in the image. But you could be shooting for the parent, and there's no reason you can't do both. You're not doing a 15-minute session. You're capturing the person both as how their parents see them and how they see themselves. That gives you two sets of images, right? They may be the same or they may be very divergent, but it allows you to create something for the parent, especially if the child's leaving the house, that they can look back on for the next several years until they realize that their child has changed and want a new photograph. But it gives them something that they can put in their household. And you also have the images that help that person define who they were at this point in time and allow them to look back at themselves years from now. And like I said, that to me is a perfect application of a photo album because it can be put away. It can be stored. It is more protected than a large print would be. And it's much easier to carry with you than a large print would be. Now, maybe they're not going to take it off to college if they're going to college. It's something they leave at home. They don't want their college roommates to see what was in the album. For whatever reason, it might be something that they get later when they move out of the house and go on with their life. But having that album allows for a portable version of their history that they can grab, put away, look at it any time that they want. It gives them flexibility. But in order to create a good album, you have to be able to know their story, and you have to be able to capture that story in images in some fashion. And again, if you're doing an album, there's no reason that the album can't be interspersed with quotes, things that the person found either inspiring or comments that they wanted to make about their life that go in that book, get printed with the photographs so that in one place they have a snapshot of their life at that particular time, who they were, what was important to them. And it allows us to go beyond what can be captured just with images. We can also include their words. We can go beyond the traditions of a photo album and encapsulate more of their life at that time for them to look back on. So I want you guys to think about the story that you want to tell and how you want to tell it. And more importantly, what is the best way for you to tell that story? And that's what I got for you this week. And I will talk to you all next week.